you know. So I think Two-Face lacks insight into a situation. Insight is when you know that you have a problem, you accept that you have a problem, and you are willing to seek help and willing to take the help, especially professional help that you have been offered, and willing to undergo the necessary steps for you to seek better recovery. That is insight. I think Two-Face lacks insight. He doesn't, because with all that has been said, he has not really come out and say, oh, this thing is false, this allegation is false, and give his own side of story. All he's saying is, I'm okay. I'm a grown man. I can make my decision. I can be with whoever I want to be with. Yes, he can choose to be with whoever he wants to be with. But if his life is endangered, right, the family members have the obligation to try to make him get help, to try to report to the authorities that will make him get the help that he needs. Because this man doesn't seem to know what is going on. He's in a relationship with this level of violence and he's saying he's okay. And we know, if you've seen cases, we know of, see, look at this singer, Ekweme singer, who passed on. They said she's a lead singer in the Dunamis church. The husband was beating her. The pastor of the church was aware. Some of the key church members were aware that she was being beaten by the husband, and they tried to intervene on a number of occasions. And lastly, she was beaten and she died. Now the husband has been sentenced to death. So you have a case of domestic assault, and then you had a situation whereby the church members tried to intervene, and probably they were seeing how she could just bear and endure. And then, unfortunately, she was unalived. So the scenario that is playing out, what the former managers are saying, they are saying that the wife, Natasha, is the perpetrator. He is the one initiating the assault. She is the one breaking the bottles. She is the one launching at him, the one initiating it. So they are saying she is the perpetrator. Baba is innocent, as his name goes by, and that he is the good person. So if Baba is the victim in this toxic and violent relationship, then he needs to be helped. And if he's under any form of influence, he also needs to be helped. And not until he gets, at this point now, Baba doesn't seem to have an insight on what is going on. He doesn't seem to understand the fear that people have. And that it's not a question of saying I'm okay. Somebody under a situation can come and say I'm okay. It doesn't mean he's okay. Until he gets to a point, right? He needs the help. He needs help, professional help, so that he can get some insight to know that there is a problem here. There's a problem in this relationship. And whatever the issue is leading to a lot of, if you look at domestic violence, intimate partner violence is the more appropriate word. Intimate partner violence. And you have this elder abuse, right? Elder abuse is when somebody is old, and then you now have maybe the children and people around trying to take advantage of the person who is old. They try to take control of the old person's finances, but maybe he has some memory loss and all that. They try to take advantage of the person's age and then take the person's property, take the person's money, you know, you know, enter into the person's account, withdraw money and all that. The scenario that has been painted is that kind of elder abuse scenario. Where in this case, Two-Face is not an elder, it's not an elderly person, but it's in a situation whereby he looks impaired. He looks so impaired that you have a situation whereby the wife or the partner can access his account and take out money that is meant for Two-Face to carry out some shows and do some promotions. She will take it out without the knowledge, allegedly, without the knowledge of Two-Face, and will now, when money, like in the UK, they were in the UK, a promoter wanted to give £3,000 to Two Baba, and Two Baba said, send 1,000 to my son in Nigeria, he's in school. And this wife said, no, give me all the money. So if she's taking the money, entering his account and taking the money, manipulating him, so Two-Face now is not like that kind of elder who has developed some dementia, some cognitive deficits, and then you have people taking advantage of robbing the elderly person of his properties, his money and all that. But in this instance, Two Baba looks like somebody who has been so impaired that the wife allegedly can gain access to his account, gain access to a lot of things. And when Two-Face is supposed to go on promotional shows, supposed to make deals, the wife will say, let's go back to Benin, let's go back to Nigeria. And when they were in UK, instead of staying in UK and doing, they will not have to come back to Nigeria and then go back or something like that. So in this kind of scenario, he is not okay, and he needs help to get to a point where he understands that this relationship is toxic. He may be there are some people that are kind of they are drawn to toxic situations. There are some people that are drawn to toxic situations, and then they have this inability to now take themselves out of it. It doesn't, bottom line, it doesn't bode well. All that is happening doesn't bode well for Two-Face at all. We know any relationship, intimate partner, once that violence starts, once you have a perpetrator and a victim, you have somebody who lays his hand or her hand on the partner, who uses instruments or weapons on the partner. When you get to that stage, it can't just stop like that. You can't just stop on your say so. No, because it's a power dynamics where the perpetrator knows he or she, in this instance, she has power over this person, and the way she can exert that power is to shout down on the person, is to raise hand on the person, to punch and kick, and then to use weapons and stuff like that. So when you have that power, is this about power? There's a power differential here. And when you have this situation, it takes something else. This circle, there's a domestic abuse circle. That domestic abuse circle, when the violence has taken place, there is what they call the honeymoon period. After the violence, there will be a period of honeymoon, of calm, where you think that everything has resolved, things are now okay. Then you now get to a point of tension building. The tension starts building up again, where you know that the violence is about to take place again. Then the violence will not take place. And when the violence has taken place, then you have another honeymoon period. So this thing now comes in episodes. It's not going to be every day, but you now have a cyclical thing where you have an incident, a violence, after which there's a honeymoon, a calm period where things seem to be normal. Then tensions build again. After the tensions have built up, then the violence episode happen again, and then it goes like that in a cyclical form. It's called the cycle of violence. And when somebody is the victim in that cycle, the person has to be taken out of it. It's not easy. People can really get so attached that they find it difficult to live. In some instances, some people feel that, oh, they cannot live without the person, and as such, they keep enduring, but we know there are certain outcomes that will come out of that. Somebody could be unalived. Somebody can suffer grievous injuries. Two-Face is an entertainer. He has a voice, and he has his good looks, his physique. If Two-Face suffer any kind of bodily injury, we don't pray for that. It could affect his music, his ability to sing. It could affect his ability to perform on stage. Those things that he needs to perform and to wow a crowd and all that could be affected. Then the worst case scenario, if the person can be unalived. So bottom line is that Two-Face is not okay. And whatever help, assistance he can be given, that should be something that should be welcomed by all of those involved. So I think the family members, they have more stake in this case. Two-Face family, the mother, the brothers, the children, they should make efforts to see if they can get the authorities to be involved in this, and then see how Two-Face can get the help he needs. He needs to be taken out of that environment to a different environment where he's not going to be under the influence of her or the influence of things. If it's a form of rehabilitation that he needs and all that, that is the best way, so that we will not come and have a mobile situation where we'll see acts of violence playing out on social media. Then one day you now hear the unfortunate thing has happened, and then we're now doing hashtag justice for this, justice for that. That shouldn't be the case. If you've seen all these signs, or seen all these warnings, it's better to make efforts to see the best you could do. Family members should do their best. Yes, Two-Face could claim that he's an adult, he can make his decision, and at the end of the day, it gets to a point where we'll now say he may not be so innocent as his name suggests, because if he's been under this and the efforts have been made for him to get the help that he needs, and he keep rebuffing that help that he needs, then he may not really be as innocent as he looks or as they claim he is, because he may end up be willfully participating in something that doesn't have any good outcome out of it, and that is something that we don't wish for. He's a legend. He has earned the records and all that. He deserves all the best, and at this point of his life, he's supposed to be benefiting from those albums he's released, from those songs he's released, supposed to be, reaping the benefit of all that he has labored, all that he has worked for, and not being the subject of arrest and subject of harassment, subject of social media banter and stuff like that. It's really quite unfortunate.